Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Finding Data Friends. We're getting back into the swing of things after our sabbatical, and good news, we found a new friend to introduce.
Yet
David,
another
welcome to
friend?
the podcast. I know.
Where do we keep
Hello?
finding them?
They keep popping up. It's perfect.
Amazing.
I got referred to you guys by a guy called Tony Hauser. Don't know if you know
Aha!
Tony.
Perfect.
Damn it, Tony.
Yeah, he's
Giving
a
us
great
more
guy.
work week by week.
It's true.
Yes.
There are many ways to be referred. This is an excellent
There is
way.
No,
But
thanks,
before
Tony.
before we get massively sidetracked in the first 2 minutes, which happens many times, David, who are you? Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yes. Hi. I'm David Morgan Gumm. It's a bit of a handful of a surname, but there we go. I am a data platform manager based over in Manchester in the UK. My background is kind of fully, SQL, all things data, cloud-based, Azure development, stuff like that. Building warehouses, data lakes, integrations. I currently am a manager as well. Manage a team of 3 data engineers and 3 software engineers. And yeah, we build great applications. All function first, all the bells and whistles. So yeah, that's me.
Very cool. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast. We're excited to have you here and to get to know you a bit more. Our first question that we ask all our guests is what your favorite data thing is.
My favorite data thing is definitely Azure managed instance. Probably
Perfect.
don't hear that very often.
I'm blown away.
Maybe not.
No, one of my more recent roles was very focused around building a new data warehouse in Azure, migrating the old systems and old processes over, but wasn't really migrating. It was more rebuilding from the ground up, like rebuilding from scratch, and then just migrating the data into the new structures and things like that. With my naive self at the start of the project, I was like, you know what, I'm going to use Azure SQL databases without some of the knowledge in the background of how all the databases talk to each other and any limitations in that regard, because I didn't really want to use SQL Server on a VM because I didn't want to manage all of the stuff that comes with that, with standard SQL Server development. And I discovered Azure Managed Instance at a conference. Went forward with it, started using it, had very, very few problems since. And yeah, it's been absolutely great. It's been revolutionary in my cloud first SQL development approach.
Very cool.
I'm going to
You
ask
guys
the
got,
question we're all afraid to ask. Why did you go with MI over Fabric for a warehouse?
So I suppose this was probably about 3 years ago now, 3.5 years ago.
Why did you go with MI over Synapse 3 years ago?
So we're now using Synapse as well. But I did test out Synapse at the time while I was going through it. We weren't quite mature enough, I think, because the company isn't huge. We weren't really mature enough to go with the Synapse workspaces and kind of the data lake architectures and things like that. We very much stuck with your standard data warehouse design. But since then, we have actually developed a data lake on top of it as well, and are using Synapse Workspace in that regard too, with Azure Data Factory and all those bells and whistles. But yeah, in terms of Fabric, just a bit too early on, and I still haven't used it, to be honest. I'm not in the Fabric space yet. It's a bit too early. I'm an early adopter. I do like using things early, but the business that I work for doesn't necessarily like that. So we'll probably be using Fabric in the future, but yeah, a bit too early doors at the moment.
By the way, it was not a trick question. We actually do run a couple of our customers' warehouses in SQLDB even. So, because exactly same thing. There's a use case for everything, and sometimes the tool you're trying to use is just too big for what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And And just like you wouldn't deploy a high available managed instance if you're basically trying to run one single small database that has like 2 gigs of data in it and is just serving a small web application or whatever. So there's not always the
For
right
sure.
tool for everything, but at least there's a
Mhm.
wrong tool for some things, I would
Yeah.
say. So
Totally agree. I've used wrong tools before. When you use wrong tools, it goes very wrong. Things
and
can still go wrong if you use the right tools, but that's more my fault rather than anyone else's.
Yeah.
especially in that because you said, well, you consider yourself an early adopter, and while I can relate to that, that is something I see quite often, that people are really just like why have you been using Fabric for just that? And they're like, because what you're doing is so tiny, you could have done that in access basically. And they were like, yeah, but we wanted to use all those shiny new stuff. And we're like, you can, but I don't necessarily agree that this was the
Yeah,
smartest
sometimes you
choice
gotta
with regards to resource usage,
Mhm.
including money.
Sometimes we're kind of blinded by that next shiny thing, aren't we? We want to be like, oh yeah, I've seen a couple of presentations, read a couple of things, I need it, but
Yeah.
actually, it might not be
Actually, you
exactly what you
don't.
need for the job. Yeah, for sure.
I'm very careful about the early adopter tax.
Hmm. Yeah, I think too. We always want to be like swapping to the next like great thing for training and learning for ourselves too, right? So when you find a
Mhm.
project that you're like, oh, maybe I could use this, it is tempting to try and squish it into the right shaped hole.
And I think there's an important difference and distinction between being ahead of the curve with you knowing what's going on, but also appreciating that just because you know all the shiny new tech does not necessarily mean that's what
Hmm.
your client is going to use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Sometimes you've got to know it enough to know that it's not the right tool for the job, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Agreed. So let's get right to our second question, which is non-data related. And I hear the questions are getting harder every time we ask a question. So apparently the first one was the easy one. That's what I've learned. But still, we're not afraid to ask it. David, what is your favorite non-data thing to do besides hanging out with Tony? Because
My favorite non-data thing has got to be football. I'm a massive Liverpool fan, and obviously won
Oh,
Premier League this year. So
so you're having a good year.
yeah, I've got a lot to gloat about. But
And you
yeah,
said you're based in Manchester, right?
I know. Yeah, I'm based in Manchester. Yeah, I'm from
Perfect.
South Wales originally. Um,
Okay.
moved up to Liverpool for my university degree, and then ended up working in Manchester. But yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan in a big Man United team. By team, I mean my team at work are all Man United fans, most of them.
I was going to say,
Perfect.
I don't know much about football. I know even less about English football. But how is it working out for you being a Liverpool fan in Manchester?
Good, very good. It's a good time to be a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, I was going to
Had a
say
very
this is
long
the right
training
year to
time.
do it.
Yeah,
Well, my
yeah, very
understanding
long
is that
training
David
time.
isn't only doing this year because there's also the people that will always root for the team that's winning. That would be me. Go
Yeah,
team. Go
yeah.
Spurs.
I've been a Liverpool fan for quite a long time, since I was a kid. Like the people, down in South Wales, there's no massive teams down that way, so all of the kids in the area are all kind of they support one of the big six, we call them,
Hmm.
really, in the UK, and then you have a soft spot for one of the Welsh teams. And Wrexham's doing a lot at the moment, rising through the leagues.
Hmm.
Um, so I think they're getting a lot of support too.
Nice. My mother-in-law is American and is a Wrexham fan because of the documentary. And every time she comes to visit us, she's like, "Can we go to Wrexham?" And I'm like, "It's like a 6-hour drive from here. I think it's a long way
You,
away."
you don't want to
But
go to Wrexham.
we're gonna have to go watch a football match one day, but we'll see.
That's good.
I have no
My
idea what any of these words mean, but
It's all
I
good.
know you said to only give one answer per question, but I do have like a technical favorite non-data thing right now.
This
Um,
always happens to us. We ask
I
for
know.
one thing, and people
I'm
come in with
sorry.
3 or 4.
I'm sorry, but I've been I want to shout about it because I've been using it a lot recently for a course that I'm doing. Is Notebook LM, the Google Notebook tool,
Okay.
like with all the AI stuff built in. I'm doing a chartered manager qualification at the moment, um, and I have to do a lot of research for it. Lots of different, questions, kind of like assignment-based questions, and using Notebook LM to bring in all of the data, all of the text, and kind of summarize it for me, and to digest it a lot quicker. It's just been amazing. So I just wanted to shout that out as well.
All right,
Notebook
we'll
LM.
allow it. Yeah, I've not heard of it.
Me neither. And it sounds pretty cool.
Interesting. It does sound
Which
cool.
is mainly what we're going to allow it, but a tab is waiting for me for after this recording to check that out.
Agreed. I did the same thing. We'll read that later.
I saw your type and was like, okay, Jess is doing it. I'm doing it.
This is one of the reasons I love this podcast is we come on and we ask like 3 relatively simple questions. And I feel like every time I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like
complicated answers.
Yeah. But it's not even that. It's just like little things that people have, hobbies or favorite foods or whatever. It's cool. That's why I like the podcast, at least. But perfect segue onto our final question, which is, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food. I had to have a bit of a think about this one. It's quite difficult because I absolutely love food and I love cooking.
As Ben said, the questions get harder as we go.
Yeah, I know. But I'm going to go for a very simple answer. Sushi, I think, is my favorite food.
Good choice.
I love that answer.
Me too.
So simple, but so tasty. And although that I rate myself as a good cook, I can't make it. So
I was going to say simple. Depending on how you approach it, simple ingredient-wise, then maybe.
Simple because you just put it in.
Yeah.
But preparation-wise, making good sushi is
hard.
And like everything, it's not just about getting the rolls done in a pretty way, but you have to get the rice absolutely perfect. From a cooking perspective, from the vinegar and all that, so it's doing proper sushi is.
I feel like whenever I make omelets, they end up as scrambled eggs. I feel like whenever I tried to make sushi, it would end up as like a poke bowl. Like all the things are there, but it's just in a bowl. It's not a roll.
What's the difference between scrambled eggs and an omelette?
Just that it fell apart, right? Like I've gone to do like a nice flip or something, and then now it's scrambled eggs.
You could go all fancy and be like, here's a deconstructed omelette.
And then put a little garnish on top, little green. Boom.
Nice.
All right.
Maybe don't even break the eggs. Just put the eggs on the plate.
Really? Maybe don't even cook them.
You said you were good at cooking, right?
Well, let's go further back. Let's just have chicken instead.
Stick a straw in, suck out the egg.
I'm very confused what is happening here.
It's called efficiency. We're wasting time mixing things up and cooking them where we could be just sucking down eggs with a straw.
Well, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Chicken omelette.
Don't know. The other good thing is to be able to use a straw in this manner, we'd have to use one of those metal ones, which means that it's eco-friendly. Take a plastic straw to an egg, it's not going to work, is it? But a metal one, boom!
Straight in. Easy peasy. You might not even need a straw. I think you probably...
But you're just going to bite it.
An egg straight out the hole that you make.
I only got one question for both of you, actually. What is happening?
Yeah, things have got weird.
I have this effect.
That's cool. I like it. You gave us a couple of good answers. We've learned some things, and then it just went south quickly.
Yeah.
Another perfect podcast episode.
And it went south quickly at a very surprising point because, he really nailed the food question perfectly.
Yeah, that was really my fault.
We can disagree on the easy part, but that's good. And then at some point we're breaking eggs with straws and are just sipping from them like pina coladas. I don't know what's happening, but this
is what makes entertaining content.
Yeah.
No, using a straw to sip from a raw egg is not fancy, Jess. It is not. It's a very simple dish to prepare.
Fancy people eat oysters. Those are raw. Fancy people eat that steak tartare thing. Raw.
Yes.
Listen here. I think
every thumb is a finger. Not every finger is a thumb.
Back to the using the right tool. Yes. Interesting.
Not everything that's raw is supposed to be eaten. I'm just leaving that out there.
So they say.
I mean, who am I to tell you what or not to eat raw? But if you decide to eat a bunch of raw eggs, please do it right before we all go on next sabbatical, because you may be out for a couple of weeks.
Good point. Good point.
We're on a schedule here. Anyways,
another great episode.
I have no idea how to put that into a great description for this episode, but I'll come up with something.
Yeah. Good luck with them.
Thank you both for sharing so much inside knowledge about raw eggs that I never knew I needed in my life. But thank you. Thank you for joining us, David. Pleasure meeting and
Thank you
getting
very
to
much.
know you. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, millions
Always
of people
welcome.
for watching us, and we see you next week with yet another friend. Bye.
Bye, folks.
Bye.